y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca, and if it's your first time here, then you have picked a great time to be here because we are doing a full face of Victoria Beckham beauty, and also because it's my birthday. So this is a bit of an impromptu video because I wanted to get ready and look cute on my birthday, and I got a very exciting PR package this week. I got all of the shades of the cheeky Posh cream blushes that they just released. So I just thought, let me sit down and just do a full face of Victoria Beckham beauty because I love the brand. So I do have all of her formulas here from skincare to makeup, and I have multiple shades of each. I have purchased at least some of the shades with my own money, including the skincare. Some of it I have purchased with my own money, with the exclusion of the blushes, which I just got sent to me. So I'm gonna give you just a quick and dirty review of each product as we go along, and obviously we'll spend a little bit more time on the cheeky Posh blushes. So Victoria Beckham has partnered with Augusta Nisbader on all of her skincare, and there are 3 formulas in her skincare range. I do think they're slightly more approachable in price point than the regular Augusta Nisbader line. I haven't tried that, but from what I remember, it's very, very pricey. I know it easily gets into like the 200s or 300s. These are pricey too. This serum I think is $125 or something like that. I will put it all in the description box below, but it is really beautiful. It comes in this gorgeous packaging, and it's a gel, a very lightweight, hydrating, slightly gel textured serum that, I don't know, I feel like when I use it, I have a beautiful glow. I feel like my skin always looks really smooth, and it doesn't have any actives or anything like that that I know of. It's just a really nice drink of water for the skin. The 2 moisturizers are priced the same. This is the smallest size, which is 30 grams, and this is the medium size, which is 50 grams, and I know that there's one size above the 50. And I do think the value for the product gets better with the larger sizes, but it is a splurge. I won't even lie to you. I mean, the whole brand is a splurge. The packaging of these is so weighty and beautiful. They have this tortoise shell look, and this is continuous in her whole line, and they're really heavy glass bottles. Super satisfying. So the original moisturizer is beautiful on its own or with the serum. If you're just going to get one item like the serum or the moisturizer, I would go for the moisturizer. It's more affordable than the serum, and I just think it does a little bit something more. I use this even on no makeup days because it's beautiful. So it's a really beautiful cream texture. It melts into the skin, it sinks in beautifully, and it really does prime the skin really nicely for skincare. It doesn't, or for makeup, it doesn't have any of that silicone-y feeling. It's not a pore filling primer. It just makes your skin feel really, really soft and ready for whatever comes on top of it. It's not really heavy, but it's also rich enough that my skin feels really hydrated and plumped and moisturized, but it's not clogging or emollient or super rich on the skin. It just sort of melts into the skin and becomes one with the skin. So I used the serum and the moisturizer already this morning, a few hours ago, and I'm going to use the Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer in the shade Golden as a lightweight base. So like I mentioned, this is the same formula as the moisturizer on its own, but it has a bit of a golden tint. It looks quite, I mean, I wouldn't say it looks deep, but it looks deeper than my skin tone when I pump it out. But actually on the skin, it really shears out, and it has the same texture as the priming moisturizer, the regular. It just really sinks into the skin. I wouldn't even say this has much of a tint. It just provides a bit of glow. This is totally a product that I wear even on its own, especially in the summertime. It's beautiful if I'm not wearing makeup, but I just want that like sexy summer glow. It does, I don't know, it just gives the skin a bit of radiance and a little bit of a boost. And then in the wintertime when I'm really pale, it does help me bronze up a little bit. I think you'll notice that I'm using this mostly around the outer perimeter of my face just because I'm combo oily, so I do not need more glow in the center of my face, like on my nose and the middle of my cheeks, the T-zone area. But I really like to use this the way I use any other illuminating primer, which is on the high points of the face. All right, so I'm back. I did my base, I did my brows, and I also decided to prep my lips with the Victoria Beckham Clear Lip Gloss. So this is the sexiest clear lip gloss I've ever seen. It comes in a clear tube and it's glass, as well as their, you know, iconic tortoiseshell cap. And the wand is just a straightforward paddle brush. It's not bent or angled or anything like that. And this formula is really nice. It's obviously a lip gloss, but it feels really, really moisturizing over time. And it's not goopy and it's not sticky. It's on the slightly thinner side and it has a nice slip to it, not enough to migrate around the lip lines at all. And of course, it just fills your lips in and gives you that glassy lip look. At the end of the day, it is still a clear gloss. I don't know if that's something that you would want to spend your money on if you're going to buy something from Victoria Beckham Beauty, but my hope is that the release of the clear gloss, which just came out, I think last month, means that we're going to get other tinted glosses to come, and I would be really, really excited to see those. So let's move on to eyes. I'm not gonna do anything super dramatic today. I just wanna feel cute. Even though it's my birthday, we're taking it pretty easy tonight. Sean actually has a surprise weekend planned for me starting tomorrow. I have no idea what we're doing, but that's all to say today is like the chiller day of the birthday festivities. So I'm not gonna go super dramatic, but I do wanna show you all of the eye products that I have. So I don't have all of the shades of these products, but I have many of them. So she has the lid lusters, which are pressed, glittery, micro glittered, like beautiful twinkly pigments. So the ones I have are Blonde, which is a really, really light iridescent gold. Then I have the shade Honey, which is a beautiful, warm, goldy champagne. This is Tea Rose, which is described as a rose gold, but I actually find it to be quite complex. There's some pink, there's some purple, and it has a slightly smokier base than you might expect from something that's described as a rose gold. And lastly, I have the shade Mink, which is a gorgeous, smoky, like a cool toned bronze with a smoky reflect. It's beautiful. And they all create that super wet looking shine on the lids. They're stunning. They're even more complex in person. So you can see these are all quite complex. So that's Blonde, that's Honey, Tea Rose, and Mink. And they all create that super wet looking shine on the lids. Because these are potted little glitters, you definitely want to keep the little lid that it comes with. That's what helps it maintain its moisture. It does feel slightly like spongy and damp and creamy, and you want it to stay that way because you want the emollients that holds the pigments together to stay rich and creamy. Then I have 3 of her eyeshadow palettes. So these are beautiful, weighty, they have the tortoiseshell packaging and gold detailing, and they're about the size of like a credit card or like a business card. So let me show you the 3 that I have. There's a little button clasp. So this is Signature, and it has 2 satin shades. There's this taupey brown and the white balance is kind of off here, but there's a taupey brown and a light pink. And then there are 2 mattes, which is this chocolatey brown and this sort of bone colored matte shade. All of the palettes have the same layout, so it's an eyeshadow brick essentially. They're all connected. The left side always has a bigger pan, and then there's 2 smaller pans and a medium pan. So this is the Tweed palette. It's definitely my most used because I love warm tones. And lastly, this is the Silk palette. So this one is unique in that it's the only palette that's all metallics. I'm not doing anything super fancy today, so I'm just gonna go into Silk. I love this mid-tone camel-y brown. It's a nice yellow undertone brown, and it's the kind of shade that I can just run all over my eye for an everyday look. So these mattes do tend to run on the drier side. They're not your creamy, dense, rich sort of mattes. They are definitely drier. They're not super opaque, but they're very blendable. For me, this is the kind of eyeshadow that's a perfect everyday eyeshadow. Then I will just deepen up the outer corner with this chocolate brown. Again, sorry, I'm not doing anything super exciting, but I also kind of want to create a slightly neutral eyeshadow look because we're going to be playing with those blushes, so I don't want the eyes to be too bold. Then I'm going to go into the lid luster in the shade Honey, which I mentioned is my most used just because it's a great, easy, everyday kind of shade. I like to apply these with fingers first and then blend out the edges with a brush. I just feel like you get the best payoff that way, and with a texture like this, you sort of want to be able to pick it up with your finger and press it onto the eye, and I think the warmth of your finger really helps. I always use an eyeshadow primer personally, but I do think it helps with any formula that's a pressed pigment just because you do potentially risk fallout. Just a tip though, the more it's melted onto your finger, like the more you see, how do I say this? If you see flakes on your finger, it's more likely that it's going to flake on your eye. So it's nice to kind of roll your finger around in the pot and then brush off any flakes and then sort of press it onto the eye. And that's just a technique for any pressed glitter pigment. I just say that because I really love those kinds of formulas, and I know some people when they get them are like, oh, it's so messy, but I think the application method really helps. So that's Honey. So let's talk about liners. These are the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liners. And I kid you not when I say these are the creamiest liners that I've ever tried, ever. Like you can just touch it to your skin and you'll get pigment. And for that reason, these are not liners that I wear in my waterline. I find that they potentially risk smudging in my waterline. But I love them for the lash line, and I love them to create a smoky effect or like a smoked out wing because they're very, very easy to manipulate. You can just like bloop, touch it to your eye and the pigment is there. And it's smudgeable, it's workable, and then it sets down. So I have two shades of this. This is Cocoa. I think you can see just how rich that is. Oops, that's fine. Just how rich that is. Ugliest swatch ever. And then I have the shade Ash, which is an ashy, very, very dark kind of charcoal color. So these are also dual-sided. The other side comes with a little sponge tip to help with your smudging, your smoking out. You can definitely tell that this liner is designed to create that smoky look. That makes sense because that's what Victoria Beckham herself is known for. So I'm just going to line my lash line, and that's it today. We're not gonna do anything super complicated. So then for mascara, we have the Victoria Beckham Beauty Future Lash. This is a beautiful mascara formula. I think it's more for your natural, wispy, everyday lash kind of lover. This is not going to be your uber volumizing kind of mascara. So I am just wiping off the wand because I just got a lot of product on it. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It is a curved wand. And the wand is very small, and the notches on it are very precise. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. And so it's really nice for getting into the corners of all of your lashes. It really grips onto even the smallest of lashes. All right, I have kept you waiting long enough. Let's get into these blushes. So every Victoria Beckham Beauty order comes with this really cute canvas bag with a ribbon pull string. And this is the packaging for the blushes. Oops. That's the packaging right there. I've already swatched these all in natural lighting, so I will pop in the swatches here just because I think they'll be more true to color than what I'm showing you now. But let me show you each of the shades here. So this is the shade Playground. It's a beautiful peachy, like a neutral peach. This is Knickers, which is a really bright peach, like a bright peachy pink. This is the shade Major, which is more of your classic rose sort of shade. Then we've got Mini Skirt, which is more of your brownie, rusty kind of shade. And this is Roller Skate, which is a really fun, bright pop of coral. They are a little bit lighter, like not as heavy, not as expensive feeling. I think we equate weight with luxury in makeup. They're not quite as heavy as some of the other products in her line. So I don't know exactly why that is. That's just something to note. It doesn't really bother me, but I did notice that when I first unboxed them. So the first thing I noticed as I was swatching these is that they are not dewy. Like they're not your sticky, luminous, dewy kind of blush. They're more of a natural finish. They actually remind me sort of the Nude Sticks matte formula, but not as thick in texture and in body. But let's see how they work on the face. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use all 5 of the blush shades on my cheeks, but I think we can squeeze in at least 3. I have a plan. So the first one I'm going to use is Knickers, which is that peachy pink, and I think this is the lightest of the bunch. So I'm going to swipe this on directly to my face, more towards the center of my cheek, just right here. And I'm going to use a brush to blend this out just because that's how I would apply cream blush typically. So let me just tap to blend. They're very creamy, and it's giving me a really even blend. I think you can see it's maintaining color, but it's also very easy to sheer out if I want to. Ooh, I hate to say this, but I can already tell I love this formula. It's just that perfect in-between texture. It's not really matte, but it's not super dewy. For me, uber dewy blushes can be a problem on my skin, and these are blending out really evenly. So fresh. I love that color on the cheeks. It just like brought my face to life. Then I'm going to go into Playground, which was that more neutral sort of brownie peach shade. And I'm going to go a little bit further back on the cheek, like that. Ooh, this formula is so nice. It's really creamy. I'm using the e.l.f. Airbrush Stipple Brush, by the way. This is a great one for cream blushes. And I'm just sort of stamping. I think you can see that. So this one's definitely deeper in tone. It's a little bit warmer. This is totally my kind of shade. I love the inclusion of that touch of brown in that peachy shade. I feel like that's really flattering for my skin tone. For me, I really like a sculpted blush application. I like a blush that kind of is deeper on the back of my cheek rather than the front of my cheek. This is a perfect shade for that kind of look. And then lastly, I'm going to take this shade Mini Skirt, which is the deeper brownie rose shade, kind of a bit of terracotta in there. And I'm gonna swipe it on the back of my cheek, almost like I would use bronzer, like that. Let me try blending that out with fingers just so we can see. I have a breakout right here, so I'm gonna try to avoid that area. But I just wanna see what this formula feels like with fingers to touch. It just blends out so easily. Are you seeing that? I think the warmth of the fingers definitely helps with the spreadability and the kind of melting of the formula into the skin, but it doesn't feel sticky at all. There's no tackiness. It's very lightweight. See how it just diffuses on the edges, and it's giving me a really even blend even with fingers. Sometimes if you apply cream blush with fingers, it picks up the foundation underneath, and this isn't doing that at all. My base is remaining completely intact, and it's giving me a really nice even blend. Should we add more? Let's just add more, just because we're here. I think the coral shade will really change this look, but I'm going to add a bit of the shade Major, which is that classic dusty rose kind of shade. And let's just go right here. Why not? I can already say that this is a blush formula that I am going to use a lot. And this is kind of the blush formula I've been waiting for. I mean, I love cream blushes, but I feel like I haven't found the one that's like, ooh, that's my go-to. I guess the Fenty ones I like, but I don't love all of the shades in that. This one, it's like, I love the formula, I love the packaging, and I love the shade curation. Like, even though I'm wearing 4 blushes right now, they all look good on my skin tone, and they all look beautiful, and they're also buildable. So I think this would work across a range of skin tones. I'm just gonna say it now, that is going to be a new favorite for sure. So I am not going to do a lot of bronzer because I just applied 4 blushes, but I do want to talk about the bronzer. So this is the matte bronzing brick, and it comes with a neutral shade and a slightly deeper, warmer shade. And these are refillable pans, which is amazing, and it comes in a range of depths from number 1 to number 5 or 6. This is number 2, and I thought number 2 might be too light, but they actually are deeper on the skin than they appear to be in the pan, and I love how buildable this is. It's a very true matte, but it's a beautiful shade for giving me a combination of being sculpted as well as more bronzed. I also saw that the refill pans are on the website now. I didn't see them for a little while, and they're all in stock, at least as I'm filming this. So definitely check those out. And even if you don't want to get the pan or the compact, and let's say you wanted to just pop the refill pan into a magnetic palette, you could totally do that. So this is pigmented. I literally just tap the brush onto the pan, and I'm just gonna do like a tiny, tiny, tiny application of it. I would love to see all of the Victoria Beckham Beauty line become refillable. That would be amazing. And I know that the brand is committed to sustainability, like their packaging, all of that, even their mailers, they try to be sustainable. So I would love to see the refill idea across all of their products. I think that would be amazing, especially because the packaging itself is so beautiful. So for lips, there are 4 formulas. There's the lip gloss, which I showed you, their lip definer, which is their lip pencil, and then they have a lip tint as well as their lipstick, which I've spoken about many, many times on this channel. So these are the lip pencils. I have shades 1, 2, and 3, and I think there are quite a few other pencils. I think they go up to number 5 or 6, but there really is a nude, quote unquote, for every skin tone because of the range of depth in this line. And there's a range of undertones as well. So this is number 1. It's a peachy nude. Number 2, which is a more neutral, cool toned nude on me. And number 3, which is more of a classic rose. These are my favorite, probably my favorite lip pencil formula, and I use them all the time, especially number 1 and number 2. You've seen me use them a million times. So here are the Bitten lip tints, which are in the same tube packaging as the mascara. I do have all 3 shades, I just can't find them right now, so I'll show you what I have. These are an interesting formula. They're kind of like a gel tint that sets down on the lips to a more matte finish, and it's kind of like a gel lip stain. If you've ever tried K-Beauty lip stains, it's very much like that formula. So this is the shade Amour, which is a warm peach, and actually the more you layer them, the deeper they get, and they do get quite deep, especially considering the translucency of the stain. You maybe wouldn't expect it. This is the shade, what is this? Oh shoot, I don't have it. I think this is the shade Bijou. And then they have a more cherry colored stain, which is called Cherie. But I'll confirm that in the description box. I'm just going to line the lips with the number 1 lip definer. And this is a really nice peachy pink for me. It's easy to wear with a lot of different colors. These also are a slightly drier lip formula, but because of that, they're really long lasting. So just for the sake of experimentation, I've actually never layered the products like this, but I'm going to use the Amore Bitten Lip Tint, and then I'm gonna use a lipstick on top of that, just to show you what it looks like. So this is a really browny peach color. Like I mentioned, it's really sheer. And it looks glossy at first, but then it really sets down to a very natural finish. It looks very much like the natural finish of your lips. I'm not gonna swatch all of the lipsticks because there's so many of them. I've talked about them a bunch, and I do have a swatch video lip swatching all of the lipsticks on Instagram, so I will link that below, and if I have a photo of the swatches, I'll drop it in here. But the one I am going to use is the shade Spice, which is my favorite autumnal nude. It is kind of a warm, almost orangey nude on me. Let me swatch it for you. It looks like that. These are sheer, juicy lipsticks that are buildable in shade, but they're super comfortable. They almost feel like a lip balm. It's my favorite everyday lipstick formula. I'm just getting shiny in the T-zone where I didn't set my foundation. Not really shiny on the cheeks so much, but just because I have oily skin, I can feel the oils peeking through. So let me powder real quick, and then let's do a rundown of everything, and I will give you my top recommendations. Okay, I'm back, much less shiny. Let me tell you about what I think you should get if you're new to the brand. For the skincare, I would definitely get the moisturizer over the serum. Whether you get the original or the golden is up to you. I'll say that I use the original a lot more because it doesn't contain that extra bit of glow, even though it's really beautiful. The original is just more versatile because I can even use it in the AM or the PM as my regular skincare. For the eye products, if you were to just get one thing, it depends if you're a matte eyeshadow person or a shimmery eyeshadow person. If I were to just keep one item from all of the eyeshadows, I would probably keep the Honey Lid Luster just because it's so beautiful. It's such a me kind of shade and I wear it all the time. And for the matte products, I would just keep the Tweed eyeshadow brick, which is the one that I used, just because I like the warm neutrals. But if I had to just pick one eye product, I would go for the Lid Luster. For the blushes, if I were to only keep one shade, I would keep Playground, which is the second blush that I used. It's this neutral peach with a bit of beigey brown in it. And for me, it's a perfect everyday blush shade. I can already tell I'm gonna get a ton of use out of it. And then for the lip products, I would pick a lip definer and a lipstick of your choice. The tint's nice and the gloss is nice, but it's not a must-have for me. Oh, and I forgot to mention the bronzer, which I love too. Let me say this, I'm gonna pick a top 3 from the brand. Top 3 that I think will have the most universal appeal. The first would be the lipstick. I think it's a formula that everyone would love and you'll find a shade that you love. The second, I'm going to say the cream blush. I think it's such an easy to use formula and people who wear not a lot of makeup to a full beat will all really, really like it. And the last product I'm going to say, I'm looking over here at all of my products. The last product I'm going to say is either the bronzer or the lip pencil. Not everyone wears a lip pencil, so maybe the bronzer has more appeal that way, but they're both honestly indispensable in my routine. I totally cheated, but those are my favorites overall. As for the cream blushes, specifically, they're a total home run for me, as is most of the brand. This is a brand that rarely misses in my book, and if I were to design a brand, it would look an awful lot like Victoria Beckham Beauty. The two things that I would love to see from the brand is refillable across all of the categories, and I would also love to see them venture into base products. I'd love to see a skin tint or a beautiful lightweight concealer, that sort of thing. So I will wait on the edge of my seat for those releases, hopefully to come someday. And otherwise, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed. I would love for you to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!